My heart felt like it was seized by an invisible hand, then twisted hard. Claire Thompson, my wife, from whom I'd been separated for a year, was finally back. I'd booked out her favorite upscale Tex-Mex restaurant, the tables adorned with fiery red peppers that mirrored the inferno raging in my chest. During dinner, her best friend, Chloe Chun, a woman who always wore her eyeliner in a sharp, judgmental wing, swirled a glass of Cabernet and asked with a laugh, her English flawless, "So, our esteemed cook finally decided to grace us with her presence? 3 whole months of living it up in London was enough for you." A familiar smirk played on Claire's lips, the same one I had once been hopelessly drawn to. She looped her arm through mine affectionately. I was busy peeling an apple for her, the blade of the knife hugging the skin, spiraling downwards in a continuous ribbon. She replied in English, her voice laced with a sweet, almost cooing tone. I had no choice. I haven't seen my Ethan in a whole year. If I didn't come back, he might have gotten angry. Chloe glanced at me, a flicker of unreadable mockery in her eyes, and pressed on in English. "You're back for good this time, right?" "For good." Claire turned to me, her beautiful eyes locking onto mine with profound sincerity. I can't stand to be away from him. My heart skipped a beat. A smile crept onto my face. The entire year of longing, of aching for her, suddenly felt worth it. Tonight, I decided I would make up for all the lost time. Just then, Chloe's damn voice cut through the air again, sharp as an ice pick. "You're really okay leaving little Leo when he's only 3 months old?" "I brought him back with me. I'm having Liam look after him for now." Claire's voice was as soft as a sigh. "In a little while, I'll tell everyone he's adopted and bring him home. That way, Ethan won't suspect anything. It saves his pride and fulfills his dream of being a father." Clatter! The apple rolled onto the floor. The fruit knife in my hand plunged deep into the flesh between my fingers. Blood bloomed instantly. God, it hurt. But the pain wasn't coming from my hand. It was radiating from every syllable Claire had just uttered, each word grinding against my heart, tearing it to shreds. "Honey!" Claire's shriek pulled me back to reality. She frantically grabbed my bleeding hand, her own hands trembling as she carefully removed the knife still embedded in my skin. "What happened? Are you okay?" I felt hollowed out, my soul gone. I shook my head mechanically. My wife didn't go abroad to expand the business. She went to have a baby. Another man's baby. She had cheated on me. A metallic, coppery taste rose in my throat, stinging my eyes. A single, hot tear escaped and rolled down my cheek. Claire froze. She reached out, her cool fingertips brushing my face, her eyes filled with panic. "Ethan, why are you crying? Does it hurt that much?" I forced a smile so hideous it was worse than a sob. "It's nothing. It just stings a little." Chloe burst out laughing, her mockery undisguised. "Seriously, Ethan? You're a grown man, acting like a little girl, crying over a tiny cut like that." Claire giggled along with her. She didn't say anything, but her smile screamed the same word. Pathetic. They had forgotten. They had forgotten how, in college, Claire had practically lived in the library, studying relentlessly to master English, just to win me over, the top student in the literature department. And they had definitely forgotten that I, their pathetic joke, understood every single word. Of course, the cut on my finger wasn't enough to make me cry. The real source of the agony, the thing that made me want to die, was her betrayal. A year ago, she told me the new London branch of her company was struggling and she needed to be there in person to oversee it. I wanted to go with her, but I couldn't. Years ago, I'd been injured saving her life, and the doctors had given me a life sentence. Necrospermia, total infertility. This past year was supposed to be the most critical period for my treatment and recovery. Besides, Liam Carter was going with her. He was a kid from a poor background whose education I had personally funded. I treated him like a little brother. With him there, I felt she was in safe hands. I had even been foolishly planning it all out. By the time she came back, my health would be restored, and I could give her the surprise of a lifetime. She used to hold me and say that as long as I was okay, she could live without ever having children. But how could I let her do that? How could I deny her the right to be a mother? Behind her back, I'd subjected myself to countless excruciating treatments and tasted every bitter herbal concoction until I finally found a renowned holistic medicine specialist. The old doctor told me my condition was curable, but it required at least a year of total abstinence. The day I got the final positive test results, I was ecstatic. I raced home like a kid, ready to share the incredible news. But she spoke first, telling me she had to leave for London. At the time, I thought it was fate. The universe was helping me prepare the perfect surprise for her. I never, ever imagined this. On the very first day of her return, before I could even share my miracle, she delivered a shock of her own. A surprise that was enough to cast me into the deepest pits of hell. "Honey, what are you thinking about?" Claire waved a hand in front of my face, a hint of probing caution in her voice. I snapped back to reality. Ignoring her, I silently took a Band-Aid from my wallet and expertly wrapped my finger. She had been gone for a year, and in that time, I'd signed up for a series of advanced cooking classes. I imagined myself preparing gourmet meals for her when she got pregnant. I was still learning, so cuts and burns were common. Band-Aids had become a permanent fixture in my wallet. Claire lifted my bandaged finger to her lips and blew on it gently, her eyes overflowing with concern. "Does it still hurt, honey?" Her expression, her tone, it was a flawless performance of loving devotion. I shook my head. "It doesn't hurt. It's just, my chest feels a little tight." "Oh, for God's sake," Chloe muttered sarcastically, covering her mouth in a fake gasp. "You two have been married for years, and you're still this disgustingly sweet. Are you trying to torture us, single people?" Claire shot her a playfully indignant look, but a triumphant smirk spread across her face. "You've known me forever, Chloe. Ethan is my entire world. Can't stand it. Go find a man of your own." All right, I'll shut up. I'll disappear." Chloe raised her hands in surrender, her smile looking like poison-laced honey to me. I forced the corners of my mouth up. When I looked at Claire again, the last traces of warmth in my eyes had frozen into shards of ice. She didn't seem to notice. She squeezed my hand and said softly, "Honey, maybe we should go to the emergency room? The way you're looking at me is a little vacant." I took a deep breath, fighting back a wave of nausea. "No need. I was just thinking. You seem to have put on a little weight. You almost look like you just had a baby." Claire's body went rigid. A flash of pure panic crossed her eyes before she quickly masked it with indignation. "Ethan, that's not a funny joke." When I didn't respond, she put on her loving wife mask again, resting her head gently on my shoulder. "Honey, I know this has been hard on you, but don't worry. Modern medicine is so advanced. We'll have our own child one day." I stared blankly into the distance, then picked up my wine glass and downed it in one go. "Claire, for us, there will never be a one day." Thinking she had hit upon my deepest insecurity, she quickly raised 2 fingers in a solemn vow. "I, Claire Thompson, swear that for the rest of my life, no matter what happens, I will always stand by Ethan Hayes. I will never leave him, and I will never betray him." I looked up and smiled. As I smiled, tears started streaming down my face again, betraying me. She still remembered. The day we made our relationship official, she had made that exact same promise to me. But she had forgotten what I had said in return. "If you ever betray me, I will leave you forever." How had she responded then? She had hugged me tightly, her voice choked with emotion. "Ethan, you're my life. I would never do anything to hurt you. If I ever did, may I die alone and miserable." I had believed her. I was a guy who, by some genetic lottery, was born with a face that attracted attention. In college, the line of girls interested in me could have stretched from my dorm to the campus gates. But I never wavered. My mom was a single parent who raised me on her own. I never knew my father, but I saw my mother cry silently under the moonlight more times than I could count. Before she died, she held my hand and made me swear 3 things. 1, never look for my father. 2, never be a player. And 3, never, ever betray a woman who truly loves you. I kept my promise, because I knew just how agonizing the knife of betrayal felt when it plunged into your heart. Claire's pursuit of me had been relentless and epic. A love letter every single day for a year. To have something in common with me, she had forced herself to learn English, going from 0 to complete fluency. I was moved. I thought I had found the one true love I could spend my entire life protecting. But now, the entire temple of love I had built in my heart had just collapsed into ruin. 3 months ago, Liam Carter, a guy who almost never posted anything online, suddenly updated his private Instagram. It was a picture of a newborn baby with the caption, "Thank God. Mother and baby are both healthy. You were amazing, my love." At the time, I just wondered when he'd gotten married behind my back. I figured when he returned, as a sponsor and the husband of his big sis Claire, I should at least check in and offer my congratulations. Now I realized what a monumental fool I'd been. That child was his and Claire's. I hadn't sponsored a student in need. I had sponsored Snake, a monster who slept with my wife and now expected me to raise a child. The party ended. Claire linked her arm through mine, just like always. "Honey, let's go home." I nodded, rising to my feet without expression. Behind us, Chloe spoke up. "Claire, there's an after party. It's all for you, a welcome home thing. Are you sure you're not going?" Without looking back, Claire waved a dismissive hand, practically clinging to me. "No, I'm going to spend time with my husband. Oh, they organized it especially for you. Is it really okay for the guest of honor to ditch? Claire looked up at me, her face a mask of adoration, and said decisively, I'm not going. But in her beautiful eyes, I could read 4 words she wasn't saying. I wish I could. Just then, my phone screen lit up. It was a text from Liam. Ethan, you don't mind that Claire is throwing a 1-month celebration for my son, do you? I stared at the words, the blood rushing to my head. Claire? He called her Claire? So damn familiar. Was this his way of telling me it was over? Or did he think that with a son to his name, he could finally take my place? Honey, what's wrong? Claire noticed I had stopped walking and looked at me, confused. I quickly locked my phone and shoved it back into my pocket. Nothing. Just a spam text from some parasite. I forced a tight smile. A parasite? She clearly didn't believe me and reached for my phone. At that exact moment, her phone rang. I knew it was him. When she saw me staring at her phone, her eyes darted nervously. She deftly moved the phone behind her back and turned the tables on me. Honey, you didn't find someone else while I was gone this year, did you? Find someone else. That was my line. But I didn't call her out. Since the vow was broken, all I had to do was leave. I looked at her, my face a blank mask. There are cameras you installed all over the house and in the car. My phone has a tracker you put on it. I get an alert on my phone every time I use my credit card. My dear wife, you tell me, when would I have had the chance to find someone else? Ha ha! Chloe, still behind us, doubled over with laughter. Claire, you're unbelievable. You keep your husband on that tight a leash. Claire's face flushed. She shot Chloe an annoyed glare, then turned back to me, her eyes filled with that fake devotion. That's because I love you, honey. Love me? If your idea of love is spreading your legs for another man, then it's a love I'd rather be burned to ashes than accept. I gestured to her phone, which was still buzzing. Answer it. She opened her mouth, her gaze shifting away. I knew her too well. She wanted to step aside to take the call. I made it easy for her, gently removing her arm from mine. I'll wait for you in the car. A flicker of surprise crossed her face, but it was quickly replaced by a wave of relief. Okay, I'll be right there. I nodded and turned, walking towards the parking garage. Once inside the car, I rolled up the windows. The tint was one way. I could see them perfectly, but they couldn't see me. I watched as Claire answered the phone, her face instantly lighting up with a radiant smile. It was a level of joy I hadn't seen once during our video calls over the past year. Chloe leaned in close, and the two of them laughed hysterically at whatever was being said on the other end. I imagined it was their little Leo, babbling his first sounds on the other end of the line. My heart felt like it had been steeped in lemon juice, sour and astringent. I bit down hard on my own finger, forcing myself to stay silent as tears streamed down my face like broken strands of pearls. This was my trial. All I had to do was get through it. Claire hung up and walked towards the car, her face glowing. I quickly wiped my tears, schooling my features into a neutral mask. The moment she settled into the passenger seat, another text from Liam arrived. My son is crying his eyes out without his mom. Claire needs to come over soon. You don't mind, do you, Ethan? If you're worried, I can send you the location. You can come too. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. I squeezed out a low growl through gritted teeth. Liam, you've gone too far. The car door opened and Claire leaned in. Honey, who are you talking to? I whipped my head away, but she grabbed my face and forced me to look at her. When she saw my red-rimmed eyes, she panicked. Honey, why are your eyes so red? I took a deep breath and said nonchalantly, it's windy. Something got in my eye. Let's go home. A guilty look flickered across her face. She wrapped her arms around my neck. Honey, I want to go home with you right now. I really do, but something urgent came up at the office. I have to go in person. My gaze fell. I had thought, at the very least, she would come home with me. It was clear now which way the scales in her heart had tipped. She planted a light kiss on my forehead, cooing like she was talking to a child. Be a good boy, honey. Go home and wait for me. I'll be back as soon as I'm done. I managed a stiff smile and nodded. Okay, you go. Only then did she seem satisfied, getting into Chloe's car and speeding away. Less than 5 minutes later, Liam's location pinged on my phone, followed by another message. Coming to my son's welcome home party, Ethan. I stared at the screen and laughed, my face streaked with tears. Which one of my eyes had been blind enough to sponsor a creature like that? Since you're already a happy family of 3, what does that make me? The third wheel. I might as well grant you your wish. Instead of driving home, I turned the car toward a remote alley on the west side of the city. There was an agency here. My mother had mentioned it once a long time ago. On the surface, they handled paperwork and document services. In reality, they helped people fake their deaths to disappear. With Claire's wealth and influence, finding a person in this city would be child's play. Other than being dead, I couldn't think of a better way to vanish from her world completely. Sir, are you sure? The owner's jaw nearly hit the floor after I explained what I wanted. I rubbed the wedding ring on my finger. Its cold touch sent a chill through my heart. I'm sure. I took a debit card out of my wallet and slid it across the table. I just don't know if you're brave enough to take the job. This card held the money my mother left me for my wedding. But when Claire and I got married, she had handled everything, from the house to the rings. I never touched it. I looked the owner in the eye and said, enunciating every word, "There's $1 million on that card. It's the deposit." The owner's eyes lit up instantly. He smiled and took the card. "We're in business to do business. There's nothing we're afraid of. Please wait a moment." He got up to print a contract. A few minutes later, he handed it to me. "Mr. Hayes, please have a look. If there are no issues, you can sign here." I glanced over it. The terms were meticulous, and the penalty for breach of contract was 100 times the fee. It showed good faith. After signing my name, I looked up, my gaze sharp. "I heard your company had a breach of contract 25 years ago. Is that true?" The owner's expression darkened. He lowered his voice. "Yes. The one who breached the contract was my father, and he paid for it with his life." He looked up again, a new firmness in his eyes. My father's dying words were that in our line of work, integrity is everything. His honesty satisfied me. I was only pressing him to ensure there would be no complications. Of course, even if he did breach the contract, it wouldn't matter much to me. 100-fold penalty would be more than enough to start over somewhere else, as long as it meant I could finally leave. It was already past 11 at night when I got home. Claire wasn't back. The massive villa was so empty that the only sounds were the tick-tock of the grandfather clock on the wall and the sound of my own breathing. I stared at the clock, lost in thought. She had hung it there herself on our wedding night. We had made a pact. No matter how late work or social events ran, midnight was the curfew, and 1 a.m. was the absolute latest. Even though I'd already decided to leave, a pathetic part of me still wanted to know if she, now with a biological son of her own, would still honor our agreement. I opened a bottle of 82 Lafite and sat alone at the dining table, sipping slowly. The hour hand pointed to 1. She didn't come back. Not even a text message. I stood up with a bitter smile and walked towards the bedroom. I didn't need a crystal ball to know she had stayed with Liam, to be with her precious son. It made sense. A child is a mother's greatest weakness. No matter how formidable a CEO Claire was, she was still a mother. If Liam used the baby as an excuse, how could she possibly refuse? As for me, I believe I probably still hold a place in her heart. It's just that her heart has been split in two. One half for me, the other for that father and son. But I, Ethan Hayes, am a purist when it comes to love. I have no interest in something someone else has already soiled. I began to gather all the things she had given me. The diamond-encrusted Rolex, the limited edition Rolls-Royce. She had always been extravagant. I would sell them all. For all these years, I held a nominal position at Thompson Corporation, but never drew a salary. Now that I was leaving, I needed some money to get by. As for the clothes, the photos, anything without monetary value, I would burn it all. I wouldn't take a single thing she gave me, and I wouldn't leave a single thing behind for her to remember me by. I packed the valuables and my wedding ring into a box. Then, carrying the clothes and photo albums that couldn't be sold, I walked out into the villa's backyard. Flames danced before my eyes, their light reflecting on my emotionless face. Just as I finished burning the last shirt, a pair of harsh headlights cut through the darkness. Claire was back. She saw the fire in the yard, and her face went deathly pale. The designer handbag she was holding fell to the ground with a thud. "Ethan, what are you burning?" I turned, gave her a flat look, and rose, dusting off my hands. Couldn't sleep, just clearing out some trash. She rushed over, her brow furrowed as she peered at the charred fabric in the ashes. "Since when do we have this much trash in the house?" I didn't answer, turning to walk back inside. She grabbed my arm, forcing a smile onto her face. "I was just asking. Look, see what I brought you? Your favorite, smoked Texas barbecue brisket." I glanced at the bag in her hand, then at my phone. 4 a.m, right? She went out in the middle of the night to buy me barbecue because she felt guilty. A sarcastic smirk touched my lips. "I was starting to think you died out there and weren't coming back at all." Her body tensed. She stepped in front of me, staring at me intently. "Ethan, are you angry with me?" I said nothing, just held her gaze. She began to explain, her voice laced with anxiety. I was late because there was a huge backlog of paperwork at the office. I just lost track of time." "Lost track of time? Do you even believe that yourself?" I gave a dismissive laugh. "I never said I didn't believe you. Why are you so nervous?" She visibly relaxed, playfully tapping my chest like she used to. You scared me, you know that? I'm the one who can scare the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation? I doubt that, I said mockingly. That's because you're the husband I worked so hard to win over, she replied, her eyes filled with a love so thick it felt like it could spill over. The cold smile on my face deepened. I sidestepped her and walked into the house. Claire, you're tainted. We're finished. She paused for a second, then followed me with a cheerful grin, clinging to my arm as if nothing had happened. The moment we stepped inside, she noticed something was off by the shoe rack. Honey, does it feel like a lot of things are missing? She asked, frowning. Oh, just some old shoes and clothes. I donated them, I replied casually. She put down the barbecue and looked at me with suspicion. You're not lying to me? I whipped my head around, my gaze as sharp as a laser. Have I ever lied to you? Or is it that you have a guilty conscience, so you assume everyone else is lying too? The smile on her face faltered. She quickly stepped forward and hugged me. Of course I believe you. I just love you so much. I'm always afraid you'll suddenly leave me one day. I looked directly into her eyes and said, word by word, don't worry. As long as you haven't betrayed me, I will never leave you. Her eyes immediately darted away, unable to meet my gaze. She buried her head in my chest. Honey, you're my life. I'm too busy loving you to ever betray you. Huh. If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I might have fallen for her act again. Now, it was just noise. I gently pushed her away and picked up the barbecue she brought. You must be hungry too. Let's eat. Okay, she said with a smile, turning to get plates and utensils. The moment her back was turned, my hand accidentally lost its grip. Splat! The box of barbecue brisket fell to the floor. She turned at the sound, her eyes widening at the mess on the floor and my stunned expression. Honey, are you okay? You didn't get burned, did you? She asked, rushing over. I looked up, my eyes devoid of warmth. She flinched under my cold gaze and grabbed my hand, her voice edged with panic. It's okay, honey. If you want more, I'll go buy you another one right now. Once that might have moved me. Now it just made me sick. I pulled my hand away. No need. To be honest, I never really liked that barbecue. She froze, her voice trembling slightly. But I thought it was your favorite. It was. In the past, I'd used the excuse that I was craving it to drive halfway across Chicago in the middle of the night to the West Loop to buy it for her. All because she had once casually mentioned she wanted to try that specific place. Somehow, she got in her head that it was my favorite. I didn't explain. I just offered a cold smile. I guess my tastes have changed. Is it because I came home late? Are you still angry with me? She pressed, searching my face for an answer. I looked down, a faint smile on my lips. No, I just don't want you anymore. She clearly didn't believe me. A woman's intuition was telling her that something about me had changed. She raised her hand, about to make another vow. I swear I was really BZZ. Her phone, sitting on the coffee table, started vibrating insistently. My eyes instinctively shot toward it. She reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, snatching the phone and immediately declining the call without looking. Then she forced a laugh. Spam call. I scoffed internally. A spam call at 4:30 in the morning? One that makes you that jumpy? Claire, could your excuses be any more pathetic? But it didn't matter. The agency would have news for me soon. A few more days wouldn't make a difference. Seeing my silence, she tried to explain further, but her phone rang again, stubbornly. She moved to decline it, but I was faster. I clamped my hand over hers, and in the same motion, pressed the answer button. The name Liam Carter glowed on the screen, searing my eyes. Her face went white as a sheet. Honey, I chuckled softly and handed her the phone. Go on, answer it. It might be important. She fumbled with the phone, switching it to silent. Well, I knew what she wanted. She wanted to hide somewhere to take the call. When had that become a habit? Thinking back, it had been at least 2 years. I took the hint, letting go of her hand and turning towards the bedroom. The moment I turned my back, the smile vanished from my face. I knew she would find an excuse to leave again, soon. Sure enough, I had barely stepped into the bedroom when she followed me in, her face a mask of apology. Honey, something's happened with Chloe. She's at the hospital. I have to go. I nodded, my voice perfectly calm. Okay, you go. You're the best, honey. She stood on her toes, gave me a quick peck on the forehead, and said hurriedly, You go to sleep? I might not. Be back until tomorrow night. With that, she turned to leave, but I suddenly reached out and grabbed her hand. She looked back, her eyes filled with an unconcealable panic. I pretended not to notice. I picked up a file folder from a nightstand, flipped directly to the last page, and handed it to her. This is an executive transfer order. I need your signature on it urgently. Without even looking at it, she grabbed a pen, scribbled her name, and rushed out the door without a second glance. I watched her disappear, then slowly opened my hand to look at the file. On that last page, printed in bold, were 3 words. Divorce. And the curve of my lips widened until it became a silent, cold laugh. How utterly absurd. She was so flustered that she didn't even notice the massive wedding portrait that used to hang on the bedroom wall was gone. Years ago, when her father died, the entire Thompson Corporation was in chaos. The old foxes on the board of directors were circling like vultures. I had never seen her this panicked, not even then. It seemed that apart from her newborn bastard child, there was nothing else in this world that could make her lose her composure. After Claire left, I slept like the dead. When I woke up, it was already 10 in the morning. My phone was silent. No calls from her, no taunting text from Liam. I quickly got ready, took the Rolls-Royce she had bought me, and drove it to a luxury pre-owned dealership. After selling the car, I bought a new phone and a burner SIM card. The old phone could be a souvenir for her. With all that done, it was still early. On a strange impulse, I drove my newly purchased used car to the hospital. Even though the holistic specialist had declared me cured, I figured it was best to get an official report from a conventional hospital, just for peace of mind. Mr. Hayes, based on all these metrics, your reproductive functions have returned to completely normal levels. This is a medical miracle. The doctor, adjusting his glasses, stared at the lab report in his hands, his face a picture of disbelief. Hearing this, I let out a long sigh of relief. I smiled and took the report from him. I knew what he wanted to ask. He was the same doctor who had originally diagnosed me with necrospermia and told me I'd be infertile for life. I didn't give him the chance to ask. I turned and walked out his office. As I passed by a VIP pediatric clinic, a voice from inside, achingly familiar yet utterly devastating, stopped me dead in my tracks. Liam, look, Leo's dimples are just like yours. Of course they are. Look who his father is. But when he smiles, he gets that from you. Sweet enough to kill a man. My feet felt like they were nailed to the floor. I couldn't move. I forced my head to turn, and through the glass panel on the door, I saw them. Claire, my wife, was leaning against Liam Carter like a delicate vine. And Liam, the snake I had raised, had one arm cradling a swaddled baby, while the other was wrapped possessively around my wife's waist. The intimate scene was like a red-hot branding iron searing my eyes. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. Let go, I told myself. Since you've already decided to let go, just leave them with a shred of dignity. I was about to turn and walk away when Liam seemed to sense something. He looked up sharply. Our eyes met through the glass. His pupils contracted in a flash of panic, but it was instantly replaced by a look of defiant triumph. Claire sensed a change in mood and started to turn her head, but Liam grabbed the back of her neck, pulled her in, and kissed her hard. Through the glass, I could see his tongue forcing its way past her lips. And all the while, his venomous eyes were locked on me like 2 poisoned arrows. I crumpled the lab report in my pocket, the thin paper nearly turning to dust in my fist. I'd already decided to let them be, so why did my heart still ache like this? The pain was so intense, I could barely breathe. I wanted to storm in there to smash my fist into Liam's smug face, to grab Claire by the collar and scream why. But in the end, I held back. She wasn't worth it. Not anymore. I slowly tore my gaze away and walked out of that suffocating place, one step at a time. Claire, from this moment on, any last trace of affection I had for you is gone. I flagged down a cab on the street. I had just settled in when a text from Liam arrived. Ethan, since you saw everything, let's just be honest. Claire loves me. For old time's sake, I'll let you walk away with some dignity. Just get lost. I typed back, my face expressionless. You remember old times, Sake? Is this how you repay your benefactor? He was silent for a moment before replying. Love is selfish. Besides, the money you used to sponsor me was Claire's, wasn't it? You were just re-gifting. I laughed. A bitter, angry laugh. He had forgotten. The year his mother was critically ill, he knelt outside the hospital, banging his head on the pavement until it bled, and no one helped him. It was me, a total stranger, who paid for all her medical bills. He had clung to my leg, snot and tears streaming down his face, and said, "Brother, from now on, my life is yours." Later, when I found out he was dropping out of college, I covered all his tuition and living expenses. By then, Claire and I were together, but every penny I gave him came from the inheritance my mother left me. Now, in his version of the story, it was all Claire's money. I didn't bother arguing. I just considered it money thrown to a dog. I casually texted back, "If she really loves you, why are you so desperate to provoke me? What are you afraid of?" Liam's reply was almost instantaneous. "I knew you wouldn't go down without a fight. Fine, I'll show you the truth and put you out of your misery." A series of videos followed. I clicked on the first one. The phone shook violently in my hand. The screen filled with obscene images, accompanied by stomach-churning sounds. Liam had his hand on Claire's chin, forcing her to look at him. "Tell me," he demanded, "who do you love? Me, or that useless Ethan?" She was panting, her voice broken. "Of course, it's you." Cough, a mouthful of hot, metallic fluid surged up my throat. The writhing bodies in the video were like a dull knife, carving and slicing away at my heart. "Hey kid, you all right?" the cab driver asked, his worried eyes meeting mine in the rearview mirror. I shook my head, saving each video as I stared blankly out the window. When I was 18, my mom passed away. From that day on, Claire became my entire world. She wasn't just my wife. She was the only family I had left. But now, she had personally pushed me into the abyss. God, why are you so cruel to me? I wiped the tears from my face, and with them, the last bit of warmth in my eyes vanished, replaced by a chilling hatred. Originally, I had just wanted to disappear quietly. Now I had changed my mind. "Claire, I'm going to make you watch me die because of your betrayal. I want to see if you and your snake of a lover can live your happy life with a clear conscience." I stumbled back into the house, utterly defeated, and collapsed onto the sofa. Just then, Claire's custom ringtone shattered the silence. In the past, I would have answered instantly. Now I just glanced at the screen and declined the call. It rang again, persistent. A surge of rage shot through me. I declined it again, my thumb hovering over the block button. I hesitated. Not yet. After the third decline call, she stopped trying and just came storming back instead. "Honey, I'm home." I stared down at the bowl of ramen in front of me, stirring the noodles with my chopsticks. I didn't even bother to look up. "HM," I grunted. She came up behind me, wrapping her arms around my neck and resting her chin on my shoulder. "I'm hungry too. Can you make me a bowl?" "Make it yourself," I said after sipping some broth. "I'm not feeling well today." Her body went rigid. I had never spoken to her in that tone before, nor had I ever denied her a single request. She grabbed my face, forcing me to look at her. When she saw my red eyes, her voice trembled. "Honey, have you been crying?" I stared at her instantly pale face and smiled. "No, I was just watching this show online. It was pretty interesting. It's about this guy whose wife cheats on him and has a baby with another man. And the lover keeps sending the husband taunting videos." Her pupils constricted violently. The hand on my shoulder slipped off. And in the end, I continued slurping a noodle and letting the broth dribble down my chin. The husband kills himself? Isn't that hilarious? To be carved up, piece by piece, by the person you trust most in the world. In the end, even death becomes a sweet release. She shook her head violently, her fingers gripping the tablecloth so tightly her knuckles were white. Her voice shook. That's fake. TV shows are all lies. In real life. That would never happen in real life." I looked up, meeting the deep-seated panic in her eyes, my voice hoarse. "What if? And I'm just saying if. One day you—" "I wouldn't," she shrieked, cutting me off. "I only have you in my heart. Honey, you have to believe me." I raised my eyebrows in mock surprise. "It was just a hypothetical. Why are you so worked up?" "There are no hypotheticals," she insisted, as if trying to convince both me and herself. "You are my life. I would have to be dead before I ever betrayed you." I laughed out loud. "Claire, how did I never realize? You not winning an Oscar is a true injustice." Seeing me laugh, she thought the topic was closed. She playfully tapped my shoulder again. "You're so mean, always teasing me." I couldn't stand to look at her hypocritical face anymore. I lowered my head and continued eating. She clearly sensed my coldness. She sat down beside me, her eyes welling up with tears. She rested her head on my shoulder, her voice choked with emotion. "Honey, you promised me that no matter what happened, you would never leave me." I swallowed the last of my noodles, wiped my mouth with a napkin, and looked at her. I spoke each word with chilling clarity. "And I'll repeat my promise. As long as you don't cheat on me, no matter what happens, I will never leave you." BZZBZZ. Just as she raised her hand to swear another oath, that damn phone rang again. I glanced at her panicked face and stood up. She quickly declined the call and stopped me. "Honey, where are you going?" I smiled and patted my stomach. "Ate too much. Going for a walk to burn it off." "Wait for me. I'll change and come with you," she said, rushing towards the bedroom. I didn't move. I just stood there and waited. I knew her. With her possessive nature, the slightest hint that I might be leaving would make her frantic. Sure enough, a moment later, a scream came from the bedroom. I ran in to see her pointing at the empty wall, trembling. "Honey, our wedding portrait. Where is it?" I kept my expression neutral. "I took it down. I'm going to hang it back up on our anniversary as a surprise." She clearly didn't buy it. She rushed forward and grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. You're not lying to me? I reached up and wiped a tear from the corner of her eye, then gently flicked the tip of her nose. Why? You don't trust me? Or is it that? I trust you. Her phone rang again. I made a show of letting go. I'll wait for you outside. I knew she was about to make another excuse to leave. She came out wearing a pristine white tracksuit, twirling in front of me with a placating smile. Honey, how do I look? I nodded, my face blank, waiting for the inevitable. At least you have a heart, she said, taking my arm. Let's go. I'm not going anywhere today. I'm just going to be with you. I instinctively tried to pull away, but she held on tighter. Not want to tip my hand, I endured it for now. The fixer hadn't found a suitable body double yet. To my surprise, this time, Liam didn't seem to summon her. We walked lap after lap around our gated community, and her phone remained as silent as a brick. A sense of irritation began to build inside me. This wouldn't do. I had to find a way to make her leave. Just then, my phone rang. It was Liam. He was actually calling me? Claire immediately leaned over to look. I angled the screen so she could see. When she read the caller ID, her expression became strained. She forced a laugh. I thought it was some little tramp calling you. I was too tired to call out her pathetic acting. I answered the call and put it on speaker. I could feel the arm she had linked through mine go rigid. Ethan, is Claire with you? Liam's voice was laced with a deliberate urgency. I'm here. Claire cut in, her tone sharp with annoyance. What is it? Claire, something huge has come up at the company. You have to come back immediately or we're looking at a loss of hundreds of millions. She looked at me. I returned her gaze, my face a mask of indifference. Suddenly, she snapped into the phone. Liam, didn't I tell you that I'm with Ethan today? The world could be ending, and you are not to bother me. I know, but Claire, this is really... I couldn't listen to their terrible acting anymore. I reached up and ruffled her hair with a fond gesture, my voice as gentle as a spring breeze. Don't be so hard on Liam. He's your assistant, not your slave. A blush crept up her cheeks. Honey, I ended the call and patted her shoulder. Go on, business is important. You're the best, honey. She stood on her toes, gave me a quick peck on the lips, and then hurried away. Watching her retreating back, I slowly raised my hand and wiped my lips hard. The smile on my face vanished completely. Claire, did you really think putting on this little show of affection could wash away your filth? Did you not realize that the very man you're protecting has already packaged up your disgusting bedroom antics and sent them directly to me? That ungrateful snake Liam would never be content to remain a secret lover in the shadows. Especially not now that you've given him a child. That was his ultimate leverage. I truly wanted to see the look on your face the day you discovered his true colors. Not long after Claire left, the owner of the agency, the fixer, called me. His efficiency was astounding. In just over a day, they had found the perfect body double. I rushed over to their discreet facility. Lying in a refrigerated chamber was a man whose height and build were nearly identical to mine. For a moment, I had the strange illusion that I was looking at myself. I was certain that when Claire saw him, she would have no doubts. I nodded, satisfied. Following the fixer's instructions, I legally dissolved the identity of Ethan Hayes and took on a new one, Ethan Ford. With my new identity, I applied for a visa to Singapore. Everything went smoother than I could have imagined. The consulate official told me I could pick it up in 3 days. 3 days. That would be mine and Claire's wedding anniversary. A fitting day to end what began on that date. I bought a one-way ticket to Singapore for 3 days from now. When I got home, I placed my medical report and the ridiculously expensive wedding ring into the safe. Engraved on the inside of the ring was our vow, never betray. How ironic. Let's stay there for her to reflect on. Just as I closed the safe, my phone lit up with a text from Claire. Honey, an emergency came up at the Pittsburgh branch. I have to go deal with it. But don't worry, I'll be back in time for our anniversary. I wasn't going to reply, but then I changed my mind. Okay, I prepared a gift for you too. I think you're going to love it. She didn't reply instantly, as she usually would. I figured she was busy working overtime with Liam. Fine by me. It gave me the perfect opportunity to call up my old college buddies for one last round of drinks. A final farewell. Ethan, you're really something. The most whipped husband we know is actually out on the town. Did the sun rise in the west today? Yeah, seriously. The minimum spend at this place is 10 grand. Did you win the lottery? Spill it. Did you get into a fight with the missus? The private room was buzzing with their teasing. I just smiled, saying nothing, and raised my bottle, clinking it against theirs again and again. It was true. In the past, I turned down any invitation that involved drinking. Claire said she didn't like the smell of alcohol on me. Now, it didn't matter. All the emotions I had suppressed for so long finally found an outlet. catalyzed by the alcohol. I drank a lot, until the room was spinning and my consciousness began to blur. In a daze, I felt like I was back in those carefree college days. But it was just an illusion. We could never go back. The next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache. There were 2 unread messages on my phone. One was from Claire. "Honey, I have a huge surprise for you on our anniversary too. You're going to love it." A surprise? Huh. I couldn't handle any more of her surprises. The other was from Liam. When I opened it, my face froze. "Ethan, Claire told me you're shooting blanks, that you can never be a father. I'm a nice guy, so seeing as you technically sponsored me, I'll lend you my son so you can experience fatherhood for a day." "You're welcome." I thought my heart was already numb. But those words still felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I knew what this meant. When Claire returned, she would be bringing that bastard child with her move-in. And that meant it was time for me to go. I disconnected the power to all the security cameras in the house and sent Claire one last message. "The surprise I got you is in the safe. The password is your birthday. Make sure you check it as soon as you get back." Then, I tossed the old phone into the safe as well. I stood at the front door with my suitcase, taking one last look at the place I once thought would be my home for life. "Goodbye, Claire," I whispered. "No, this is goodbye for good." I left without a backward glance and found a small motel in the suburbs that didn't require ID to check in. The next morning, at the crack of dawn, I went to the consulate. Everything was in order. With my new passport and visa in hand, I headed straight for the airport. In the departure lounge, I made a call to the fixer. "You can proceed." "Understood, Mr. Hayes." After hanging up, my hand started to shake uncontrollably. I didn't know if it was from excitement or fear. 20 minutes before boarding, the fixer sent me photos of the staged car crash. It was brutal, flawless. I transferred the final payment with a sense of relief. 10 minutes later, the plane took off. As I watched the city shrink below, I knew that from this moment on, the person known as Ethan Hayes had been completely erased from the world. Pittsburgh, Riverfront Estates. After a passionate encounter, Claire habitually picked up her phone to check my location. It showed I was at home. But for some reason, a heavy feeling settled in her chest, a premonition that something was about to happen. "Claire, what's wrong?" Liam wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands beginning to wander. Claire pushed him away, her brow furrowed in annoyance. "I don't know. I just have a bad feeling." Liam chuckled and pressed against her again. "Sounds like I didn't satisfy you enough. Let's go for another round." "Get off me." Claire's face turned to ice. Liam froze. He had never seen her use that tone with him. "Claire." He whimpered, his head bowed, his eyes instantly turning red with hurt. "Tomorrow, you and Leo are going back, and you won't belong to me anymore." Seeing his pathetic act, Claire's heart softened. She turned and gently caressed his face. "As long as you behave, I can give you anything you want, except for my husband's position." Her face hardened again. "But if you dare to get any funny ideas or do anything to hurt Ethan, you know the consequences." "I know," Liam said, a flicker of resentment flashing his eyes before his hands started wandering again. "Right now, all I want is you." After a night of tangled limbs, Claire was jolted awake from a deep sleep by a shrill, ringing phone. The caller ID read, "Chicago Police Department." Her heart lurched. She glanced at Liam, sleeping soundly beside her, and quietly slipped out to the balcony to answer. "Hello, is this Ms. Claire Thompson?" "This is she." "What is this about?" "Ma'am, we're at the scene of a severe traffic accident on the Bluff Roads near Starved Rock. The victim has been preliminarily identified as your husband, Ethan Hayes. We need you to come as soon as you can." "What did you just say?" Claire's scream cut through the morning calm. Her face drained of all color, and a hand holding the phone trembled violently. "Impossible." She hung up, her mind reeling, and bolted downstairs. "Claire!" Liam, awakened by the noise, grabbed her from behind. "Let go of me." Her voice was as cold as ice. Startled by the sheer coldness emanating from her, Liam instinctively let go. She didn't even spare him a glance. She ran into the nursery, snatched the sleeping baby from the nanny's arms, and her tears finally broke free. "Leo, we're going home. Daddy is waiting for us." She clutched Leo and shouldered Liam out of the way, who was blocking the door, and ran out without looking back. Behind her, Liam's face twisted into a grotesque mask in the shadows. "Ethan, you deserve to die." In the car, Claire held Leo, her face a thunderous black, yelling at the driver to go faster. She dialed my number over and over, only to be met with the cold, automated message. "The number you have dialed is not reachable." She then called Chloe, her voice a raw command. "Get to my house now. See if Ethan is there." "What's wrong? Did you two have a fight?" "Cut the crap. Just go." After hanging up, she yelled at the driver, To the airport. Forget your salary this month if you don't step on it. Half an hour later, as the car screeched to a halt at the airport, Chloe's call came through. Claire took a deep breath, her hand trembling as she answered. She was terrified of hearing the one thing she couldn't bear to hear. Claire, no one's home. The doors are locked up tight. Ethan, he probably just went out. Clack. The phone slipped from her nerveless fingers and shattered on the pavement. Clutching Leo, she staggered backward, feeling as though her soul had been ripped from her body. No, he promised me. He promised he would never leave me, she muttered, tears streaming down her face like a broken dam. She thought about my strange behavior over the past few days. She remembered how, on every previous anniversary, I would cook her a feast of all her favorite dishes. All the signs pointed to one unbearable conclusion. He was really gone. In the most absolute way possible. Wah, the baby in her arms, as if sensing her despair, began to wail. She tried to comfort him through her own sobs. Leo, be good, don't cry. Daddy is going to be okay. Chicago, County Morgue. When Claire, led by an attendant, walked into the cold, sterile room, her legs felt too weak to hold her. The attendant pointed to one of the refrigerated drawers. Ms. Thompson, my condolences. Her body was rigid, her nails digging into her palms as she shuffled forward, one step at a time. When she saw the mangled body inside, its face destroyed beyond recognition, her vision went black and she collapsed backward. Even though the face was gone, she recognized him instantly. The clothes he was wearing, the single letter T embroidered in gold thread over the heart, she had designed it herself. How could this happen? An attendant caught her. She was shaking uncontrollably, her vision blurred by tears. When I left, you were fine. How could you? She lost all control, slumping against the cold metal, her trembling hands trying to wipe the blood from the double's face as she let out a heart-wrenching sob. I'm sorry, honey. It's all my fault. If I hadn't left, if you had been with me, this wouldn't have happened. Oh, God. A little late for regrets now, the attendant sighed, handing her a file folder. This is the suicide note your husband left for you. A note? Claire looked up sharply, snatched it from his hands, and shakily pulled out the blood-stained letter. My dearest Claire, please forgive me for leaving you this way. I once thought I could love you for a lifetime, but you cheated on me. You betrayed our love, and you betrayed your vows. The moment I found out the truth, my heart shattered. I don't know what I did wrong to deserve this from you. All I know is that it's time for me to go. I once told you that if you betrayed me, I would leave forever, to a place you could never find me. Now, I've kept that promise. Don't be sad. Just pretend that I was never a part of your world. The paper crumbled in Claire's fist. No, impossible. How could he have known? Who? Who told him? Chloe. It had to be her. A monstrous hatred erupted in Claire's eyes. She wiped her tears, pocketed the note, and called the head of security for Thompson Corp. Mobilize everyone. Come to the county morgue. We're taking Mr. Hayes home. After hanging up, she caressed the cold metal drawer. Honey, I didn't cheat. I did it for you. I just wanted to give you your dream of being a father. I love you. She walked out of the morgue and saw Chloe holding Leo, a worried expression on her face. Claire's gaze was as sharp as a knife. Claire. Claire ignored her, took Leo from her arms, and whispered, Leo, Mommy is going to take you. To see Daddy. The baby, as if understanding, gurgled, his eyes a mirror image of my own. Another wave of pain pierced Claire's heart. Claire. Chloe tried again, tentatively. Claire whipped her head around, her eyes glacial. Get lost. In the hastily set-up memorial hall, Claire stood dressed in white, her face ashen. Her cold eyes fell on Chloe, who was kneeling on the floor. Claire, believe me. I swear, I didn't say anything. Chloe was terrified. Only you knew about me and Liam. Claire's voice was dangerously low. If it wasn't you, who was it? It was Liam. Chloe grasped at the straw. It must have been him. He wants to replace Ethan. He wants your life. Claire froze. She remembered that ever since Leo was born, Liam had become bolder, even daring to touch her inappropriately in public. Could it be that he was the one who drove Ethan to his death? She gritted her teeth and took out her phone, but Chloe stopped her. Don't tip him off. Find Ethan's phone. Use his phone to test him. Claire hesitated for a moment, then stood up and followed her phone's locator signal to the safe on the second floor. She remembered what I had said about a gift. With trembling hands, she entered the password. The door swung open. The divorce agreement, the wedding ring, the medical report, and my old phone were all laid out neatly inside. Her eyes were glued to the divorce papers. She opened it. On the last page was her own flamboyant signature. No, impossible. When did I sign this? She collapsed to the floor, suddenly remembering the executive transfer order I had her sign that night. No, this doesn't count. You tricked me into signing it. She furiously tore the agreement to shreds, then shakily picked up my phone. She had to know how I found out. She turned on the phone, and a flood of message notifications came through. She opened the chat with Liam. The most recent message had an audio file attached. Ethan, happy anniversary. Here's a little something to get you in the mood. The sound of Claire in ecstasy. You're welcome. The blood drained from Claire's face. Trembling, she played the recording. The sound of her own moans and cries of pleasure filled the silent room. Liam, she let out a primal scream, shaking with rage. She couldn't imagine the despair I must have felt hearing that. She scrolled up, seeing the obscene photos and videos. Cough. A spray of blood erupted from her mouth, staining the white floor red. She could see it all, my face twisted in pain, despair, and utter hopelessness as I saw these things. She slowly got to her feet, her tears gone, replaced by a cold, bottomless killing intent. She walked back to the memorial hall. As Chloe watched in terror, Claire whispered a few instructions to the bodyguards behind her. Then, she turned her cold gaze on Chloe. From this day forward, Thompson Corp will blacklist the entire Chen family and all of their businesses. No, Claire, please. Chloe scrambled forward and grabbed her leg. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. I know. Claire's voice was devoid of any warmth. Then why? Because if it wasn't for your rotten idea in the first place, my Ethan would never have died. She kicked Chloe away and spat out a single word. Scum. Then, she picked up her phone and sent a message to Liam. Come back to Chicago. I'm waiting. Liam replied almost instantly. Of course, my love. I'll be there tonight. You'd better make it up to me. She looked at the words my love and let out a cold laugh, whispering to herself, Make it up to you? Yes, I suppose I should. With your life. She walked to the casket, caressing the cold wood. Honey, just wait a little longer. As soon as I've avenged you and made sure Leo is taken care of, I'll come and join you. That night, a torrential rain fell. Liam, ecstatic, drove the Rolls-Royce Claire had bought him out of the airport garage. He could already see himself on the throne as the master of the Thompson Corporation. Ethan, you lose. Ha ha. In the middle of his triumphant laughter, a heavy-duty truck emerged from the darkness without warning, ramming into him head-on like a rampaging beast. Crunch. In the deafening crash, Liam was pinned inside the mangled wreck, blood instantly obscuring his vision. Through the blur, he saw the truck driver, a burly, grim-faced man, walking towards him. He finally understood. This was no accident. It was murder. But until the moment he died, he couldn't figure out who wanted him dead. When Claire received the news of Liam's death, her face showed no emotion. The next day, she personally escorted the body double's casket to the crematorium. Just as the furnace door was about to close, her secretary rushed to her side and whispered in her ear, Ms. Thompson, Mr. Hayes, he may not be dead. Claire's body jolted as if struck by lightning. My mother said, the circumstances of Mr. Hayes' accident are eerily similar to how your own father faked his death to leave your mother. Father? Faked his death. As if remembering something, Claire ran out of the crematorium like a madwoman, drove home, and dug out the coroner's report. In her overwhelming grief, she hadn't examined it closely. Now, as she looked at the blood type section, the letters O positive were printed in stark black and white. Ethan had Rh negative blood, the rarest type. The man who died wasn't him. Honey, you're not dead. She held the report, tears of joy streaming down her face. Thank God, you're not dead. But then, the joy soured. Do you hate me that much? Enough to punish me in such a cruel way. She thought of her father. He had used a fake death to leave her mother. Years later, her mother found him, and Claire finally met the man they called her father. But on the very day they were reunited, she watched her mother collapse in a pool of her own blood. And then she learned the truth. She was not her father's biological daughter, just like Leo and Ethan now. Is this karma? She wept. No, I won't accept it. I'm not like my mother. The only man I have ever loved is Ethan. Claire wiped her tears and immediately called her secretary. Put out a $10 million reward for any information on Mr. Hayes' whereabouts. She dragged her exhausted body back to the bedroom, only to find the closet empty. All my clothes were gone. A sharp pain shot through her chest, and she let out a bitter laugh. Ethan, you are a cruel, cruel man. Her gaze fell on the medical report in the safe, the one she had ignored before. She slowly picked it up and opened it. When she read the contents, she felt like she'd been struck by lightning and crumpled to the floor. How is this possible? His condition was cured. She immediately called my primary physician, who gave her a definitive answer. Your husband's reproductive health is completely normal. There are no issues. She stood there, stunned, the phone slipping from her hand. Why? Why didn't you tell me sooner? If you had just told me. From downstairs, she heard Leo crying. She picked up her phone and stumbled down the stairs, taking the baby from the nanny. Leo, be good, don't cry. You'll make Daddy angry. She pulled out her phone, found a picture of me, and held it in front of him. Strangely, Leo stopped crying. He reached out his tiny hands, gurgling as if trying to touch the screen. She increased the reward from 10 million to 50 million, and then from 50 million to a billion. But a month, a year, 2 years passed. It was as if I had vanished from the face of the earth. There was no trace of me. 5 years later, New York City. I had slowly begun to move past the shadows of my old life and build a new one. I had just gotten home from work to my small apartment when my phone rang. It was an unknown number from the States. I hesitated, then answered. A small, young voice came from the other end. Daddy, I miss you. I was taken aback for a second, then chuckled. Hey, little guy, you got the wrong number. I'm not your daddy. Yes, you are. Mommy has your picture on her phone. My name is Leo Ethan. My heart felt a small, sharp prick. Leo. Uh-huh. Just then, another voice came on the line, a voice etched into my very soul, now thick with tears. Ethan, I know you hate me, but it's been 5 years. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? My own voice was flat, devoid of emotion. I don't hate you. It's all in the past. Really? Oh, that's wonderful. I'm coming right. I didn't wait for her to finish. I hung up and blocked the number. The next day, I submitted my resignation letter. My plan was to leave New York and immigrate to Singapore. As I walked out of the office building, a car came screeching around the corner, heading straight for me. I didn't even have time to react before someone shoved me hard. Thud! I hit the pavement, scrambling to my feet. I looked up and saw a familiar face, now covered in blood. It was Claire. Mommy! From across the street, Leo's heart-wrenching scream echoed. I scrambled over to her, cradling her as she lay in a pool of her own blood. I roared at the driver who had hit her. Call 911. Now! I held her, my voice trembling. Hang on. You're going to be okay. She opened her mouth, but only blood came out. Looking down at her, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. Tears streamed down my face. Don't talk. Just live. If you live, I'll agree to anything. Anything you want. She smiled, a beautiful and tragic smile of contentment. She used the last of her strength to raise a blood-soaked hand to my chest. She began to trace letters with her finger. Take care of Leo. He is your bio. Before she could finish the last word, her hand fell limp. The doctors said she died on impact. I sat in the cold, sterile hospital hallway all night, holding her cooling body. I had always thought that all I had left for her was hatred. But as she lay dying in my arms, having saved my life, I finally understood that some pain is etched so deep into your bones, it becomes a part of you. I still didn't understand. If she loved me, why did she hurt me so badly? Perhaps, from the very beginning, our meeting was a mistake. End.